God bless you. One of the things that I am blessed to do is to speak. Once in a while, I am called upon to speak concerning some of the ills that are going on in our society in Bermuda. When I returned from my vacation in July, I was contacted by the Daily Hour, and they desired that I would be their guest. So now let's stay tuned to the conversation that I had with the host, Mr. Jamel Hardtman. Again, I am blessed to speak responsibly from the spiritual angle, the heart of God concerning the island of Bermuda. As you listen, please keep in mind that my desire is that we are a healthy people and a people holy unto God. If you don't have a relationship with God by our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, please reach out to me. I am here to serve the kingdom, and I'm here to graduate you in kingdom things. God has a purpose and a plan for you. God's hand is upon you. Now it's time to walk in that plan and to be a blessing to our island, the island of Bermuda. God bless you as you tune in. Blessings abound.
I agree with Quita Outer 8074. Looking forward to hearing Pastor Seaman. I know I am too. And let's give her a warm. Hold on, let me make sure I got the right music. All right, because we gotta, I don't want to press that boo song. We gotta press the big cheering song. Let's give a warm TDH welcome to our very special guest today. Unfortunately, we have not had her on. I didn't realize since the final show of last year. So let's bring on Pastor Maria Seaman. Greetings, Pastor. How are you? Oh, you're on mute. They need to hear you.
All is well. God bless you, and good to be with you. And hi, everybody.
Well, Pastor, I was, another joke. It is International Bear Day, but I have to tell this. Do you remember? This was about a good 16, 17, probably longer than that, 18 years ago. I was at Hamilton Princess. You were at an event at Hamilton Princess, and I was sitting off with I believe it was one of your church members at the time, and we were having dinner. You came over. I hope you remember this. You're like, Brother Hartman, what's in your cup? And you're like, that don't look like fruit juice. It always makes me laugh, right? I think that's what I learned. I learned you had said you had never had tasted alcohol. Do you remember? Do you remember that?
Never.
Wow, never.
And congratulations. Hallelujah. I need to go visit some other tables.
But yeah, I remember that. It was quite funny. I was like, oh, I hope I'm not getting him in trouble. But yeah, no, I remember that like it was yesterday. But thank you for always making time to come and engage. I'll say this much: whoever we are in life, no one is always going to agree with everything we do. But the courage it takes to still take that stand publicly, especially, I don't think people understand that enough. So I think there's value in it. And I think over time, more people, even though they may compliment in silence, have started to appreciate, not that they necessarily agree with everything someone says, but they're starting to realize that they don't have to believe that someone could be right multiple times. So I just want to, before we get into the conversation, say thank you for continuing to speak on what you believe is right and how Bermuda should be living. But I'm going to jump right into it now. I want to jump right into it because I still follow and read what you say, and some people who follow you as well. And let's be honest, Bermuda is facing a number of social, economic, and political challenges while the Progressive Labor Party prepares to choose its next leader. What do you believe, Pastor? What do you believe? Like, what qualities, I should say, do you believe are most important in a leader during times like these?
Integrity, steadfastness, and a life that echoes the quality of the office which they hold. Yeah.
when you, and I know you will share it, but when you look at the two names that have been put forth, the two people who've put their names forth for leadership, um, do you see those qualities in either of them?
First of all, I respect both of them. I went to school with one and I taught the other. And so as I look at both, I've already asked my administration to arrange meetings with both of them because I need to speak with both in order to truly assess where they are. And
Mhm,
again, what they're going to say now as
mhm,
to what's going to go on once they are the leader. Let me say this something that really struck me yesterday. I've just returned home to the island after being in another island for 6 weeks. And
mm,
once I get pre-customs, I look up and I look at the image of who is the leader of Bermuda.
mm,
And I almost become weepy at times to recognize this is the spirit of
mm,
the person, or this is the spirit that we are imputing over the island.
mm,
It's serious. This is
mm,
more than a political ploy, move, game, whatever. To me, this is spiritual, which is
mm,
always stronger and vitally important to a nation. And that's why, and we'll talk about it, we're experiencing some of the things that we're experiencing because the
mm.
spirit of Bermuda has changed.
But I don't think even those who may have issues with some of the things you say, I don't think they can honestly disagree with what you're saying. I just don't. It, it 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 would take us to be dishonest as a people, um, to disagree with you in saying that. And just to finish up on the leadership battle that's to come. What do you believe should be the leader's top priorities for the government in addressing the issues affecting everyday Bermudians?
I think it's important that the leaders deal with the extremes. It's almost the alpha and omega of Bermuda. In other words, you look at the senior population and you look at the children. All right. Unless we're dealing with these two polar ends of our population, we're not going to have the seniors feeling appreciated or the little ones growing up appreciating the seniors. So
Mhm,
anything that involves or is about them, if it's not in order, the island is not in order. And we
mhm,
are not in order. I'm going to say that when it
mhm,
comes to our children, when it
mhm,
comes to those that have trod the path, that have laid the foundation so that we can show off and do who we want to be, it's not right. And
mhm,
we have to be honest about that.
mhm. And you've spent years, Pastor, working closely with people in the community, and again, some of the work you've done in and out of the classroom, beyond the pulpit. From your perspective, what are some of the greatest struggles families are facing today, and where do you believe more support is needed?
I believe that the major struggle, and this is a two-word phrase here, we've Bermuda has, and here we go, identity crisis. An
Mm,
identity crisis. You know, ooh, this is hours of conversation, but here's the short. We want to be Bermudians, but we want to be a part of, I'm going to say it, Caribbean or Caribbean. I grew up, it was the Caribbean and Bermudas. We want
mm,
to be attached to the UK like the USA. What happened to being Bermudians? All right. I've been
mm,
in St. Martin for 6 weeks and a lot of times sat in a restaurant by myself, just observing the movement. And one thing I can say is I saw a more consistency of St. Martin's being St. Martin's. We don't see
mm,
that in our hospitality. Now, think about
mm,
that, the hospitality, the essence, the grassroots of who we are, and
mm,
just hooking on to that. We can no longer say we have a grassroots party. We have a we have actresses and actors and wannabes and what can we get back to the grassroots and fix the grass in Bermuda?
mm.
That's my issue. We got to deal with it.
Mm. Audience, if you have any questions or comments for Pastor Seaman, you can send them through. Now, Pastor, thankfully, we haven't had any shootings that have led to murders recently, but unfortunately, the chaos on our roads. And I've spoken about recently people just driving with a lack of respect for themselves and others. Um, when you think of the violence, when you think of the behaviors on our roads, what are your thoughts? Like, what do you think? Where do you think this comes from?
Okay, here we go. One of the things that we learn um, in the kingdom, the Christian culture, the Christian reality
Hmm.
is about love, right? Doing unto others as you would have them to do unto you. We have a high percentage of people, the only time they go to church, sometime for a baby blessing, maybe a funeral. And so we don't have that connection of eternity. I'm saying something here. We're stuck on we want to do us right now. Okay, how does it get to the road fatalities, the deaths that are happening? We're driving like we have no tomorrow, or we always will be here today.
Mm,
Meaning that we are stuck on living now and not understanding there's a God,
mm,
there's an eternity. Now, I put this post up, and maybe you've seen it. As bad as the Reds are, and they are bad. As bad as the Reds are, why are the Reds targeting young black males?
mm,
It's the same roads I drive on. Caucasian Bermudians drive on. Foreigners drive on. What is it? We're doing other things. I don't know if it's, let's get into it. The fruity weed, the alcohol, the just carelessness. And here's the big thing, and everybody knows it. Family dynamics have changed.
yep.
Family dynamics. It's all going to go back to family. My family is not perfect that I came from. My family is not perfect that I have, right? I've wanted to question all three of my children for DNA proof, whether they're mine.
Mm,
But
mm, mm,
here's the point. They were trained right. So
mm,
I knew at some point they'll catch themselves. They'll catch themselves.
mm,
But here's one thing you'd never see those that learned that do unto others really understand that do harm to others. And
mm.
we are, even through our social lifestyle, thinking of cup matching, what I've heard, we are harming. How can you tell me? How can you have Bermudians,
Mm,
okay, people attending cup match with spliffs, reefers, whatever you want to call them, and our seniors?
mm.
They're spelling it. And somebody say, well, the police were there, the army regiment was there. Oh, we're hurting each other. You want reparations from 100 years ago? I want reparations from cop match. There's a lot of reparations we need.
Y- you know, your point's valid because there was a time when, and I've spoken about it on this show. Actually, it was part of my long, article or post I put up about cop match last year, where it was a time when people wouldn't smoke around children or elders and so on. There was a respect thing that went on. So I get your point. Now it's done so openly that people just honestly don't seem to care. I mean, I want to get back to the family structure and breakdown as well, because when people say that, they think that you're coming across empty, right? Because um, they feel like, oh, that's an insinuation of something else, that, oh, people having children out of wedlock or LGBTQ plus or whatever it is. But the facts are the facts, right? Two things can be true, right? And I do think that when you look at it, let's talk about what I said earlier about the hospitality being impacted by IB coming into Bermuda, and then parents, some two-parent households having to go out and work. So now who's helping the child with their homework? That's part of the family breakdown of the family structure as well. So it's not always the political stuff, right? But speak to, how do we get back to that?
Well, we have to truly, truly admit that the family situation dynamics are targeted,
Mhm.
right? And therefore, you got to have this Bermudian fight. Like, oh, I see what your plan is. And so I'm going to
Mhm.
counteract that. How do you do it? Well, you can't change what's going wrong. You only can start with the next generation that's being born. If we don't start, if parents are not wise enough, swift enough to understand, listen, this Bermuda, people want to control this island. And the way that you control this island shut out the hospitality, bring in the exam, then bring in the exam, but it won't be all Bermudians. You bring in foreigners. Now we look at the hospitality. Who's in the hospitality? Foreigners. We don't get the picture yet. Make life difficult. A downgraded education system. People feel like they got to run away. Okay, attack the family. All right, all right. Now people feel, well, we need money. Go on the street, sell the drugs. What? It's an attack on the family. I'm gonna tell you. And my family's been attacked, so I ain't throwing at a glass house. I'm trying to keep my glass pretty strong right now, right? Um, I'm gonna tell you, you have to, as a parent, I'm a grandmother now, you have to understand where the attack is and literally prepare your children from birth to being in this Bermuda that's set against us. And the shame is that we have the people in power, but we haven't become any more powerful. So what you have to do, we need people thinking. I'm going to say, I'm a Christian, I'm a pastor. There is an empowerment that I learned from being a Christian. You may think it's just a story. David, I'm taking on I don't care what the giant is. I tell the story. I went to Bermuda College 1 year, wanted to be a doctor. Didn't even go 1 year. I went for 2 months. Met with the president. He said, what you want to be? I said, I want to be a doctor. He said, well, you need to open up. What? I said, I ain't being under no man that limits me. Quit the college, got in hospitality, right? Waitressing, hated people, but I learned. And why? Because I was not going to allow somebody to determine my future. I learned this from being strong in the Lord. I'm telling people haven't even tried church and they hate church. I learned so many power messages, and it's helped to keep my mind right. So I don't have to use all those bears. I can stick with ginger beer and root beer. I'm good. I'm good.
You said something earlier. Now, I've been a proponent of. I'll never forget. I was a PLP delegate 2008, and that was a conversation going on at the delegates conference. I guess I could share this publicly. It's been so long, but there was a conversation going on at the delegates conference about the legalization of marijuana back then, and I was one of the young people in there who stood up against it at that time. Over the years, I've felt differently, and literally because of something you said, even though you didn't advocate for it, you were against, but you just said your children were raised right. So they were always pretty much going to understand, like come home, whatever their challenges were. My point is, I believe with education, right? People won't go toward that. I feel like we failed to educate people to do things. And, you haven't said it this morning, but I'm expecting you to. And I think someone in the audience said it. Let's see. Yep. Allison Russell says, get the children back in Sunday school. Now, you haven't said it this morning, but Dr. Seaman, like, I'm okay with marijuana being legal if we're educating children to know that that's not the way to go. That's where I think we differ on the law. But I because I'm a proponent that if we educate, like you said, raise our children right, then they're not going to go that way, right?
But too many will. Anyone lost, anyone that experiences the consequences of listen to it, relying on an outer substance to make you feel a certain way. You don't need that. You got all you need on your own. That's the empowerment that our people need. And here's the truth of the matter, that the more you legalize or decriminalize something, the more you open it up for danger. It's in the house, it's in the clothes, it's in where they travel. And as a scientist, biology, we know that the brain is not fully mature to age 25. Why are we exposing our children to it? So that we can be free? No, we're just putting our people in bondage. And we have a political party and the Senate, I'll continue to say it, I'm Ray Russell's child, that absolutely approved this nonsense of decriminalization. You just open it up more. I can go to the grocery store, smell a car, open, here goes the weed. I said, Lord, I hope I don't get high. What am I going to do? I don't even know how to be high on some substance other than the Holy Ghost. You do not need me high.
No, you're on a godly high there, Pastor. We got Manny Rankin got a question, says, what in your opinion are the 3 top things that can be done to reduce bad driving, which leads to accidents, injuries, or death?
I would say we seriously need to, once we have, say we have a real accident, the person survives, thank you, God. We need to really know what substance, alcohol, or even we have no statistics to present as truth. We have glossy commercials. We have soft police. I thought we had cameras that were put up the last election. I saw a big room with cameras, something down Loyal Hill they're putting up. I don't see them being used. Charge the people. If and they survive, if they have alcohol, take away the. We're not listen. If you don't learn, you're gonna feel. Right?
Mm,
That's what we're taught. And
mm,
our people are not feeling it. So they're going back out and doing it. Now we've got the e-bikes.
mm,
So somebody, listen to me, somebody making money off of us getting e-bikes and going to kill ourselves and the rest of it. So
mm,
there needs to be a sobriety aspect of this. Stop all the cute commercials. Oh, we're
mm,
asking that. Listen, take them in court,
mm,
see what's going on. We need proper statistics because we got where they teach the children how to, they all know how to ride. When you're high, you're going to ride different. When you're tired, you're going to ride different, sleepy, all types of reasons. So
mm,
it's no one shot answer, but we've got to do it differently. And
mm,
again, the words are not just attacking us, the words are not prejudice.
They don't.
Something's going on.
Yeah, they don't discriminate. Nikki Michelle says we would be remiss to ignore how the world is shifting. Politics and even religion are no longer callings by default. For some leaders within them, they are simply a way to pay the bills, right or wrong. It is changing. The industries that once ran on honor no longer run on it for the same reasons. Expecting the same from them isn't realistic. Anything to say to that?
Oh, of course, definitely. I'm just gonna stay straight up. You're probably attending the wrong church. A lot of people are. Maria Seaman, Shekinah Worship Center, they hold me accountable. Every nickel, dime, penny.
Mm,
AGM, 4 meetings a year. People see the money. See, what we do is we look at some crooked churches or churches that are going wrong, and we blanket everybody. And let me say, I am disgusted by some things I see going on in churches in Bermuda. All
mm,
right, I won't go into details, but I'm through. I'm like, what are we doing here?
mm,
What are we just trying to keep members and keep money?
mm,
Because a pastor understands it is not about only living here. It is mostly
mm,
about preparing here for eternity. And that's why I get I'm riled up because I'm like, oh, we're losing our people between the Reds,
mm,
between leaving to the UK, between yes, let's go to it, other lifestyles or no lifestyles. All of this impacts my calling, which is to preach the word of God and encourage people. Not only do you want to have a good life now, you want to have it in eternity. Hey, you got a good 100 years here, but there is eternity. And I'm going to say this, and we can't go into it. We've got too many pastors lying at
mm,
funerals,
mm,
pushing people into a heaven that these people never support. Churches have listened to me. Churches have become a venue and not a place for the gospel. That's what I see happening at funerals. Well, they allow themselves to be pimped, not a Shekinah. If I don't know they were church attending, church going, bearing fruit of the gospel, I'm shutting up. I'm
You know,
preaching to the congregation. Okay.
I don't think many would disagree with you on that point. I find it hard that anyone will. You've got. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, thankfully, more funerals are taking place outside of churches, but for those who are continue to have them there, your point is valid. Your point is extremely valid. And I remember my mom, my sister and I were doing the thing with Augustus, preparing for her service. My mom was a church going Christian, but she always said for years from when we were children, that one song she did not want at her funeral was "We All Get to Heaven" because that's played at every funeral, and it's like, so to your point, like it's like you're making a mockery of it. So I completely understand your point. But years ago, you came on, Pastor Seaman, and we were talking about. I was reading some statistics that Christianity is losing numbers like crazy, while the Islam faith numbers were rising. and saying that it would probably be overtaken by a certain year at that point. Again, as you mentioned, times have changed. The world is evolving. Um, why is why do you think Christianity numbers are falling, but Islam, for instance, is rising?
From the cradle to the grave. Let's start with that phrase right there. That the children, if they are not being brought to church, sent to Sunday school, all of that, there is a God space. There is a space within the heart of mankind that know that there's a power, there's a greater, right? If
Mm,
they are not taught that it's God Almighty via the Christian church, let's say that, then there's a search going on and they're going to find what they want to find. Now, as far as Islam, hey, I'm aware of what's happening in Dearborn, Michigan, in New York, in Wisconsin, in California, and in the UK. So I know what's going on with Islam. Remember when I talked about the Hajib day in at the Barclay, I got blasted. Well, welcome to what eventually is going to happen. Okay, why again? Why again? We've become soft. We don't want Maria Seaman to talk because she's a female. Well, can we get the males? All the bishops, all the apostles, all the prophets. Can some man stand up? No. And this is what the Bible will prove, that when men stopped speaking, God brought forth a woman. Said, let's go. Let's get
mm,
it done. So I'm not disappointed that God is using me. I'm disappointed because I believe that more than a woman, a man is needed. Men are needed.
mm,
All the leaders of all the religions should be speaking up concerning every topic. That
mm.
way, the godly voice will be heard. Where there is silence, the gap will be filled in. Hence, other religions, libations, and the rest of it. Looking for who you are in Africa. Why am I going to look in Africa? I'm going to look at the beginning. In the beginning, God. There you go. That's my heritage.
So, and I'll come back to that. We've got a question. Sheridan Pringle's asking, what is she implying about Islam and what's going on?
Okay, I can't go into fully unless you know what's going on in Dearborn, Michigan, with Mayor Mandami in New York. And here's the point, that a people, and it's happening in a different way before Islam. It's happening with foreigners. Talk about South P, 700 jobs.
Mm,
What percentage of those 700 you think are going to be local? Probably 20. So we've got an influx of foreigners that are going to come. And
mm,
so it changes, hear me, it changes the whole feel of Bermuda.
mm,
And I'm saying with Islam, that's happening. You go YouTube it, you'll find it. It's not deniable because foreigners have come in and their way has not been silenced or maintained. Stay in your mosque, taking over streets, taking over churches, taking over communities, right?
mm,
Trying to take over Bibi Netanyahu. It's all happening. But I wonder if we're aware of it. I'm aware of more than what's happening in Bermuda. That's why I can see it creeping in Bermuda.
mm.
So I'm not speaking, most Bermudians, any religion, we're pretty cool because we're Bermudians. We're cool. So, I've got wonderful Muslim people. So I'm not talking about them. But this Islam thing that's happening, stay tuned. Sharia law, right? Our girls are
Mm,
naked. When you get Sharia law, they'll be covered up.
mm. I want to. Shawnette Sumner had said, "Once we open a door just a crack, we make way for it to be kicked wide open. We have to get back to standards." Now, that was in reference to me saying I believe it should be legal. Like I just, for me, I think with education, people will make best decisions. Very, I've heard people just.
People with Brother Jamal.
What are some examples?
People who have common sense, me. People who want to become something. But those who are maturing, immature, don't have fathers looking over them, don't have that steady hand of the church upon them, they're not gonna make the right decision.
Hmm.
They're not. We see it happening. By the way, that we've got people fleeing public school, teachers fleeing public school. But
So
we've got a lot to do.
how let's talk about love because um in saying that once we make a crack, people, kick the door wide open, right? A former leader in Bermuda said to me back in 2010, I think it was, that 2 words and a comma was basically the appetizer to what they're going to try next, which was same-sex marriage. And I believe that you were very vocal about that. Now, I was not, for me, my issue was conscription then. I was very narrow.
Yeah.
It kind of played out like that, right? But is it possible that we can still love people despite them? You mentioned lifestyle, so I'm going to say lifestyles, as you mentioned earlier. Is it possible for us to still love them and look out for them and embrace them despite that?
Brother Jamel, we must. If I don't love some things that my children do. I still look out for them. My favorite cousin is a homosexual. I have a nephew who's a homosexual. I'm praying they make it in every time I see him. Why when we get to see it on Shekinah? Just reached out to my nephew about a week and a half ago, try to get him at him on my WhatsApp to let him know, listen, Auntie still loves you. What's happening? It's not about just because I don't approve of your lifestyle. That's not me. My heart, for God so loved the world. The world includes everybody. And so, make that clear. That's why I'm passionate. If I water down the word of God, then who cares? Go to hell. No. Hell was not made for anyone. The drunkard, the adulterer, whoever lifestyle. You see? So it's not about love. Love, people often look at it and they say the opposite, she hates me. No. I hate the purpose of sin in my life, in your life. That's why I come up to you in that restaurant and say, what's in that cup? I know that stuff's not going to be any good for you. Okay? All right.
And thank you, because that's where I was going with it. It's like, you speak up about these things and people equate it to Pastor Maria Seaman is a hateful person and so on. And you address that right now. But I want to get back to identity, because I think we disagree on something again. Well, that's just our relationship at this point. But you mentioned, all this Caribbean stuff and this and that earlier. While the government may have not made a strong case for full CARICOM membership, I was a believer in it. And for me, I see no problem with strengthening relationships and ties, whatever country, whether it's Ghana, whether it's Ethiopia, whether it's every Caribbean nation, if Bermudians can benefit from it. But what concerns you most about developing stronger ties with the Caribbean in particular, or the West Indies?
First of all, I don't have any concerns about strengthening ties. I was just in St. Martin. I questioned. I said, "Oh, I'm just a hour's boat ride from St. Kitts," because I asked where my grandmother was born. Now I say that to show that I care, but also to state I could get closer ties by going there. By going there. Now, my issue with CARICOM would be that we haven't exhausted the associate. We're just finding out about it. We're just starting to hear about it. So I'm not going to become, I'm a conspiracy person. Yes, I am. I don't know what's going on that we're going to jump in with 2 feet overboard. But no, we need to take our time. And that's what we're not doing. And again, it's always the shiny thing, the new thing, the new words, the emotional. I want to know we need to deal with the emotions of what's happening in Bermuda. Why we can't take care of home business before we want to grab out to do something rather than fixing. Don't distract from home. Get home straight. But CARICOM then fix our education, then fix our potholes, then fix our hospital, then fix our hospitality. Is this what we're saying? I don't hear it. And so I am not against strengthening ties. I personally, what? No. Yeah, I've got a young minister. She's in St. Kitts, wants to hook up. I go to Africa. God willing, we'll be going again in November. So it's not about not hooking up with or not connecting with other places, the Caribbean, Africa. It's about, wait a minute. Have we hooked up with ourselves? How about that? Let's do the self-hook up. People, power to the people. Let's stop being so weak. that we got to go for something else that's shiny. No, we got to fix some things first.
Mhm.
We got to understand, be educated. Well, what does this really mean? Are more foreigners? Because no, then you're going to say, no, they're not foreigners. They're just like us, they're the Caribbeans. So here we go. Here we go. No, we're Bermudians. And there's no one like a Bermudian.
Mhm.
Okay? I'm proud. I am godly proud. I love this place. St. Martin had those wonderful mountains I was looking at every day, catching the bus every day. But woo-wee, when I got back home to Bermuda, I said, my God, home, sweet home.
Mhm.
And until we love, listen to me, big statement. Until we love ourselves, we always look for something out to bring in.
Mhm.
Same with alcohol, cigarettes, smoking, vaping, and the rest.
Mhm.
Until we love ourselves, we always look to heal, bring a healer in. No, 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 no. God is healer.
Mhm.
Appreciate who you really are.
Let's go back to the audience. Crystal Simmons says, some would say that religion has always been a part of our lives in Bermuda, but nothing is working. How do you reach people without making the basis Christianity? Because not everyone believes in that.
Yeah, they don't believe in it because they haven't been taught it from their youth. We got so inclined. Ooh, international business, money. Ooh, we can finally have money like everybody else. We didn't realize we had the wealth and the richness of a relationship with God. And we traded that in, working, gonna do all this, and now we've lost our way. So I'm good. I'm making it as a Christian, loving it, our people. There's nothing wrong with Christianity.
Mhm.
Many folks haven't really tried it. They've taken somebody else's opinion. They don't like one person, so they blanket the whole church structure. No, we haven't given it what we should. And I want to tell people, I'm at this point in my life, 61, grandma sin of 3. Hey, come on down to Shekinah. Check it out. You know whether we're real or not. Shirley and Pringle, I'm still waiting for you to come down. Hey, I'm as real as it gets, and it's going to be truth spoken through the word. I ain't gonna pimp you. I ain't gonna try to be a social committee. I'm preparing people for heaven. All right. Christianity works if you work it, but we're
Mhm.
not been working it. I'll leave it there.
You know, I wrote a Substack. I was speaking earlier about how I began writing again, and a Substack I wrote last month was titled Beyond Belief. And the focus of it was, while I was grateful for my upbringing in the church, and, you know, in the last 2 years, my two youngest sisters got baptized in their churches. Um, but I said that religion is really comes down to where we were born, right? That's what where our beliefs come from, right? If I were born in the middle of Morocco, I would grow up thinking that Islam's the way. But I was brought up in Bermuda, where there's a church pretty much on every corner, so I was made to believe Christianity is the way. I say that because the internet opened up the world, right? And the internet has people challenging you know, many things that we were taught and told. They're not hanging on to what their parents and grandparents gave. And it goes back to like even hospitality, the way we think about that. With, you know, our children are going away to school, like we're going away and we're going into spaces, and we're engaging with people that we never, our grandparents didn't engage with unless it was literally war back then, right? So with that taking place, with people being exposed to so many more things at younger ages, and like, hold on, not only don't they go Sunday school or church, but even if it's something they learned in Bermuda, they're now expert. Well, this person comes from this place, and da, da, da. Like, you get me? Like, it's not my goal or role or place to insult someone for believing what they believe, but I do accept that a lot of what we believe is based on where we're born. Can we agree on that?
I hear what you've said, and I agree with it. And I want to say this. This is the crux of the statement here. Do you believe in it or have you become it? You see?
Mm.
Once I went away to school, and of course that's 40 years ago, and I was exposed to some things, but I always hadn't heard. Well, no, my pastor said this, and my mom and dad said that. So I stayed the straight and narrow, right? Because not only did I hear them, I believed it, and not it wasn't religion with me. It was a relationship Oh my
Mm,
God. Everything within me breathed being a Christian. So if you don't have that start, you're going to go off because, again, you're looking for the answer. Now,
mm,
what you have to do, because you mentioned if you go to Morocco or whatnot, you have to look at the tenets of that faith. Do they appreciate people? Yeah, some people say, if you don't believe what I believe, we're chopping off your head or we're chopping your hands off. So you always look at the tenets and the visual evidence of what people believe. Here's what I want to say to conclude this little box here. Every nation has a footprint, a DNA spiritual footprint. We've moved away from our DNA spiritual footprint. The world can be, listen, the world can be as open as wide with 5,500 religions. But what's your
mm,
DNA footprint? Because we want to be on our own and independent because we've been kept from church now. You don't
mm,
want your DNA footprint. So you can't be weak. If
mm,
watch this statement. If you don't know your DNA, you're going to be weak. Too many fatherless homes. We can't get into that. If you don't know your DNA footprint, to embrace it or say, nah, that's what it is, I decide not to do it. But you've got to really know it. And
mm,
again, it's not religion with me, it's relationship. And that's why I
mm.
have to speak up concerning.
Pastor, it's so easy for us to focus on everything that's wrong in Bermuda,
Mm.
but solutions require collaboration. What practical steps do you believe government, the churches, various religious faiths, businesses, and the wider community can take together to strengthen Bermuda?
Well, again, I go back full circle to my beginning. If we look at the young people, if we look at the seniors, if we're not working together to make sure that they are catered to. I grew up Lloyd Hill, Devonshire, went Elliott to start, and every morning we were running to the children that came from Birmingham. And so I built up a love, and I really wanted to build a home and run it, a children's home. How many homes do we have? We had Sunshine League. I think they had 99 years. We got in government, and by we, I mean PLP. We got in government. I didn't see it really improved. We were sending people to minister at Birmingham because it's my heart, my youth. So we ain't got it that anymore. We try to get people. We did at first have churches getting involved in this sacred places where the souls of the children, if you don't feel that, I don't know if we're feeling that, the lostness of the children, those that don't have mom or dad, or I should say dad or mom, because I believe both fathers are more important. That strength, that tenacity, that covering, it's quite powerful. If we're not working on that, I don't think we are. I think that there's a segment of our community that's making sure theirs are taken care of because these crazy public school people, oh, okay. What One of the things we did, big discussion, not today, is we said everybody should go Berkeley. Everybody. Now everybody goes Berkeley.
Mm,
Okay, Stephen, what you mean? We keep on just dropping these standards. Now, what we say, 96% grade rate. Well, all these high power graduation numbers, and we got troubles employing people. Somebody's cooking the books,
mm,
cooking it after graduation or before. Got all types. Okay, you get this type of certificate. We've got to go back to the homes. I believe sociologists need to be employed to
mm,
understand these children and why they're not learning, why they're not disciplined
mm,
until we deal with it. And then our seniors, you know, who trod the way, the grassroots, where are they? Can they afford to live? Are they packing groceries? My mama would have never packed groceries. Diane Russell, no Ray Russell,
mm,
no, because they already worked, and my dad hospitality all his life, and so therefore, until we truly deal with not getting empowered, but empowering the people,
mm,
when you're empowered, close my eyes, whoever is in power. But I
mm,
just don't know if it's going to happen because I've,
mm,
I've been here looking at this seriously for 20 years saying, good Lord, Bermuda's at its worst ever. And we've got our people in power.
I,
Something's wrong.
but I even think I think there are many people who will agree with you that Bermuda is probably in one of the worst states it's ever been. Right? There are many people who would agree with you. Right? Even those who are making off well. But Crystal Simmons says right here, I remember when religious leaders loved me like their own child while still standing on their beliefs, but today it feels very judgmental and hateful, my experience. Now,
Yeah,
some
yeah.
people
Let
will
me just jump in there,
say,
Brother Jamal. Can I? It's going to feel hateful. My children have hated me. Would you believe that? Would you believe that? I've done everything in the world for them. Why? Because at some point in time they were doing something that I disapproved of. Not every one of them, I think they love me now, right? my love hasn't changed because I'm looking at the long run. And to Crystal, I think this is the Crystal I know who knew my mom. Um, it feels judgmental because there's something about you I probably disagree with. Am I right? And so it's going to feel that way. Yet to me, that's a part of the conviction to say, why is this preacher woman? Why is this person rubbing me the wrong way? Let's go into the word of God. Let's see who's right and then understand what it's about. So it's not judgmental, it is righteously calling a situation as it is in preparation for getting that person ready for eternity. I have one book to abide by. I can get advice from a lot of books, but one to abide by. And therefore, that's what I do. So it's going to feel judgmental. I feel judged a lot because people come and they hate you. I can't stand you. I want you on the island. Yeah, yep, judgmental feels not nice. And you have to know, I have to know, okay, that's why. Because I'm a nice person. I'm little children love me. They absolutely do. Ask the church. They love me. I love children. And I want them to go. I can't help, I keep saying it. I want them to go to heaven. So I have to make sure to discipline. We don't like discipline. I'm pregnant pause right there. I'll go ahead, Brother Jamal. I'm calling you Brother Jamal. Yes, I am. I want to hear you, sir. Definitely want to hear you.
sorry about that. My alarm thing was going off, fire alarm. But you're an educator. You're an educator. You've always had a way of speaking hope into young people
Uh-huh.
and engaging people where they are. As you look to Bermuda's future, what gives you hope? And what message would you like to leave with Bermudians who may be feeling uncertain about the direction of the country?
I would say Bermuda is what you make her. I'm excited. You look what? I'm excited. Not without understanding it's going to be a struggle. I had to fight through some things to get to a place where I am today. How do I know that Bermuda has potential? Everybody wants to come here. I have a couple of people in St. Martin. They got any jobs? And people hit me up. What am I? I know a job market person. Um, we have a diamond in the rough. It's rough right now, but if we can stick to the wicked, if we can keep hope alive, and I got to get you back, you got to come back to the one that gives hope. Truly, not based on poor experience, somebody else's testimony. If you want to change things, you've got to be the change agent. So every school student out there, you become the change agent and say, nobody kicking me off my island. I will be the best at whatever I do. Be I work on the streets of Bermuda, be I work at the hotel, be I work at a church, whatever I'm going to be number one. I'm going to do it with such class and dignity that it will be undeniable that I am the best thing that ever happened to this job place. It's a mentality. And our people are weary, tired parents. Look, just a little something. They found out the child nursery thing was closed this week. I'm had to look out for my granddaughter. I'm weary. I said, God, thank you for menopause and we don't have children at this age. What? What? Listen, we have to understand there is plenty of wealth in Bermuda, plenty of riches. I was about 8 years old. I was hooked up with a rich family, black. Therefore, I got to go to Pomanda Gate. Only white, 95% of white people. I didn't grow up saying I hate these people because of what they have. I said, yeah, they got that. Well, I got one advantage. I got God. I knew if they had God. And I said, here's the other thing. Anything I want to get, I'm going to get. That's it. Mindset. Greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. What? You think you're going to stop me? Not as long as I got the greater. If we can get that mindset going, our children will be on top of the world in the most beautiful island there is called Bermuda. And I'm telling you, I learned that in the house of God, not with a political pastor, not with a punk pastor, with a strong. I was under Charles Foster Fabler, Goodman C. Smith, marching against things, standing up, making a name. That's who I am. And then my daddy, first and foremost, now everybody knows Ray Russell. What?
Mm-hmm.
He was going to speak the truth if he was the only one speaking it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you got to do.
It's been a pleasure.
Shout out Bermuda. Bermuda's the best place in the world. Don't let them kick you out of your country. Don't you move. Stay here, fight for your island. Jamel's away for a different reason. Don't worry about that. Go ahead, Jamel.
I appreciate it. Honestly, I thank you for always being open to engage. And I think the only time, and I want to share this publicly real quickly, if you don't mind, but the only time Pastor Seaman ever said she wasn't available was when she had to be there for her mom. Your mom was very sick, and we reached out. And I say that because it's not about agreement. Like, I mean, again, we still will leave this conversation disagreeing on some things, but I appreciate that you can share. I don't find, for me personally, I get why some people might feel like your passion is hateful. I'm okay with people disagreeing with me. That's why I do what I do for a living. I think that through these conversations, hopefully we can find, some area of both truths being at least acceptable or understood, if not acceptable. But I appreciate you always being willing and open to discuss some of the hardest things. I mean, we have so much more we can discuss, but I know we're out of time for today. But thank you. And to all of your church members who continue to support this show, even when you're not on, I'm grateful for them as well, because that says that they appreciate the community conversations that we're having. So thank you for your time, Pastor, and always making time for us. And I look forward to the next conversation.
Thank you, Jamel. I'm available at any time. Like my daddy, I have always got plenty to say. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I'll see you at Shekinah. There's no place finer. Blessings abound.
Pastor Seaman, talk soon.